Hello, hello, everybody. How are you? I hope you're doing well. Okay, so this is the Building on ApeChain webinar, and we're going to give you a nice run through, a nice walkthrough of how to build on ApeChain with Sequence Wallet solutions. But before we get into all of that, leave a good morning in the chat. And also, we're going to do a round of introductions so you can get to know our speakers and their roles and how we're going to make this go forward. So let's kick it off. All right, Alok, how about you? Please introduce yourself.
Hey everyone, I'm Alok and I'm the developer lead at ApeChain. Recently, we reached out to our community builders as to what sort of content they would like to see built for ApeChain. Most of them, the top feedback was people just wanted to build stuff. They just want to ship stuff. So we reached out to Sequence and they jumped on the opportunity to showcase their Ape Builder kit, and here we are.
Awesome. Thank you for that. All right, let's go. How about Sam? Please introduce yourself and let us know your role.
Hey everyone, I'm Sam. I'm the head of strategy and partnerships here at Sequence. I'm also the author on AIP 418, which we proposed to the DAO last year, and it actually kicked off the ApeChain Builder, which you guys are about to see, which is the largest development stack in the Ape and EVM ecosystem across wallets, marketplaces, payments, as well as a lot of supporting technology like Indexer, Node Gateway, and much more. And so we'll go through all of that, but we love working with the DAO and the ApeCoin community and builders on ApeChain. And as Alok said, this is really focused on making it incredibly easy to build with a full but modular and open source stack on the chain. So excited to let you guys jump in and start playing around and launching great content.
Yes, this is going to be awesome. And also quick note to everybody in the chat right now, there will be time for Q&As at the end as well. So keep your questions while you're watching everything. And now let's go to James. Please introduce yourself and let us know what you're getting us into today.
Ooh, what we're getting into today. All right. All right. Great to see the ApeChain community. So really excited. It's really special. Last year I was at Ape Fest. I'm actually based out of Portugal and it was in Lisbon. So for all of you who are out there, it was super exciting to see you guys out there. And we actually did a small little demo of that, similar to this last year during the Builder workshop. So that was really cool. I'm glad I get to present. I'm the head of DevRel here at Sequence, so I'm on the tech side. We've been growing out the developer community on Sequence for about 1.5 years now. Previously, I was at Chainlink Labs, and I actually worked on the mutant serum drop. So if you were excited about the mutant that you got, you can thank me. And if you weren't, well then, sorry, it wasn't me. So I really, with all that said, I'm really excited what is happening on ApeChain. There's a lot of stuff that is really cool. And we really want to, as Alok said, we really want to empower builders on ApeChain, and that's all what we have focused on. So now I'm going to go through a little bit about how to actually onboard your users, what makes Sequence wallets so special, both on the tech side, but also like, why does this actually matter for your revenue, for your business model, all that good stuff. And then how do you actually monetize this? How would you launch like a sale collection? And how does Sequence actually make this easier for you to make money, deploy your contracts, and actually build cool stuff? So let's dive into it.
Let's go. All right. Okay. Should add that. Here we go. All right, here's the demo.
So, beautiful. So you should see, let's go ahead and log out. Let's go through the whole flow. So really, we have a dedicated landing page specifically for ApeChain Architects called APE Builder. And this allows you to have a one-stop shop to actually get access to your API credentials, get access and configure your wallets and all that good stuff that you need in order to build the next great PFP project or game or NFT launch, whatever you want to do. So this is really nice. I'm going to go ahead and sign in, and that gives you access to all the good stuff under the hood. So let's go ahead and authenticate. And you'll notice that everything within the ApeChain Builder is designed around a project. And I already have a few different projects already ready to go. if you want to create a new project, you're coming in for the first time, all you do is fill out a couple project name, add a logo, just to help identify yourself. And what's really cool is you're specifically scoped to the ApeChain networks. So you have Curtis, and then you also have mainnet here. I already have a project ready to go. I added some information here, so I'm going to go ahead and just use that one. And whenever I dive in, it immediately tells me, okay, how many users are currently using my ApeChain Builder project, how many daily users I have, how many monthly users, transactions I'm putting on chain, all the good stuff, important for getting grant money, by the way. Definitely feel free to share that with your community or people who are evaluating your project. And you can also, if you want to like check out some of our Get Started guides, this will just walk you through how to do certain things. But of course, you're lucky because that's what I'm here for today. I'll walk you through step by step. One thing on this like analytics side, before I jump into like the wallet cool stuff, you can also go right to analytics, and that gives you a little more information on like where your users are coming from, where you're getting traffic, page views, views by country, all this different stuff that you need in order to effectively evaluate and quantize kind of the metrics that you're getting from the community, and you can see how your project is doing over time. This is automatically built in whenever you integrate Sequence. So this is really nice that you get like access to analytics at the blockchain level straight out of the gate. So the first thing I want to go over is, I have a new project. I want to onboard in my community. How exactly does this work, and what's the best way to do it? So I'm going to go through one of our flagship products, and that's called our embedded wallet. For those of you who don't know what an embedded wallet is, it's really simple and extremely complex under the hood, but we abstract all that away for you. Basically, it allows you to have a seamless Web2-like experience within a specific application, and you can also use this cross-platform. So for instance, if I have a marketplace on one domain, if I have my web application on another domain, maybe I'm building a game in Unity or Unreal or a mobile app, whatever the case is, users can get a seamless wallet across all those devices by just integrating Sequence SDKs and then using them and authenticating with their social login. So what exactly does this actually feel like? I'm going to go ahead and just hop over to one of our demos. And this is our React SDK. So this comes bundled out of the box for you. You basically have all these UI components ready to go. And I'm just going to go and authenticate with our embedded wallet. Here you can see that we have a bunch of different options, like users can authenticate with like Google, Apple, Twitch if you're like, streaming to gamers or something like that, Facebook, on and on. We have many different social auth providers. Or you can also connect with a traditional like Web3 wallet. So this is automatically detecting the extensions that I have within my like browser, and it's presenting me them. So it will do the exact same. If I would have other kind of like favorite wallets that I have installed, it would also present those as well. But for just the sake of simplicity, I'm going to go ahead and authenticate with a with my Google login. And this is super nice. I immediately have a non-custodial Web3 wallet within this browser session. So why does that actually matter? Let's say I want to send a transaction. So you'll notice I'm just sending a transaction. Right now, this is on Arbitrum Nova, but if we just want to check out that transaction on the Block Explorer, we can see it's a real transaction. And you'll notice that there's no pop-ups, there's no modals, there's no confirmations. So I don't have to go through any of that in order to basically interact with my web application or whatever kind of application that I've deployed. So I get a really seamless UX. And this is especially important if you have people that are not so familiar with blockchain, or you just don't want to sign for every single transaction, which is a pain. You can definitely use an embedded wallet, and that's a major advantage to help streamline the onboarding experience and streamline your basically user funnel to make sure that you can convert users more successfully. So again, under the hood, we're actually just using WAGMI injected into the session. So you don't have to like change your existing logic or anything like that. You can just integrate this SDK and you're basically good to go out of the box. If you're using like WAGMI or Veeam or kind of common like Web3 standards. So again, I can also mint an NFT, and that'll just mint, I'm just calling like an NFT contract. And again, this is just transferring one of those NFTs to my wallet right here. So this is super cool. And in addition to this, an important thing about the monetization aspect is how do I actually get users to buy certain NFTs? And how do I make it more easy for people to spend their money? So we have a few different options. So one is we have on-ramping built into basically the SDK. And so this applies to all the SDKs, and users can easily just onboard from like euros to a variety of different currencies across a variety of different chains. You can also swap to a variety of currencies. So this is basically detecting what do I have in my wallet currently, and it'll present me these different options and allow me to actually just swap between the different currencies presented. So that's really nice. And you can also have the ability to purchase NFTs directly. So let's say I want to purchase this NFT. Automatically, it will detect, okay, what payment options are available depending on what I have in my wallet, or what is available that the developer enabled. So for instance, I could pay directly with a credit or debit card for this NFT. I could just pay in fiat. I could fund this wallet with a credit card. So if I want to, get USDC in that wallet and then actually spend that, I could do that as well. Or I could transfer crypto assets from another wallet to this one. So there's a variety of different methods that you could do. And we already have account abstraction along with bundling enabled. So you'll notice that like whenever I complete the purchase, it will automatically execute, and I don't have to do an approve. I don't have to do the subsequent swap. It's automatically going to bundle both of those together. And that reduces kind of that onboarding friction that you can have to make sure that users are optimized to buying the NFTs from either your marketplace or your store. And I'll show a little bit about what that looks like in a live application shortly. So that's a little bit about specifically the embedded wallet, along with the React SDK and how you can integrate this into an application. So this is really nice when you want to have it within a web app. But again, we also have SDKs for a variety of other features. And in order to actually set this up, it's fairly trivial. So we just use a few different parameters here. So you can add your wallet recovery address. All you do is create a password. So it looks like I'm doxing what my password is right there with 1Pass, but it's really simple. And once you add all that information, you can set up your social providers and you're off to the races. Now, you can also use our quick setup, and this just prevents like sample integration code that you can literally run with a one-liner. So if I wanted to paste this and do like a CLI, I could just bring up my terminal, paste that in, and then it will automatically run the sequence CLI command, and then it'll actually deploy like a React application and clone this repository and go through all the dependencies and install everything. So you can get a one command, one-liner right out of the box, and then automatically have an application that comes with all the stuff that I just showed you to get started like right away. So that's really nice when you want to get started fast. You want to play around with kind of what does it feel like to integrate with Sequence in order to start authenticating your users and start building an application. And we have a variety of packages like React and Next for the most popular frameworks. So now that I've covered a bit about the embedded wallet, I also want to dive in, okay, how do you actually create PFP projects? How would you do an NFT drop? How would you deploy a game asset through Sequence as well? So this is where contracts come in, of course. And we have a lot of different contracts which are audited throughout basically this instance. So you can see we have a generic ERC20. So if you want to issue a currency, we also have 1155, 721, sale contracts, soulbound contracts. If you want to like do a battle pass or kind of like a reward or anything like that. Just for today, we're actually going to go through and we're going to create a sale specifically for an 1155 item. So you can see we're actually using ERC 721A, an optimized version of this. So it's really gas performant. It's hyper optimized for this use case. And let's just say we're going to call this ApeChain Architects example. And you'll notice that we also have the contract owner. We have the royalty recipient. We can add royalties, which are royalty enforcing for the marketplace that we deploy on. And once we have all that information filled out, we can go ahead and deploy that contract. Now, another thing that's really cool, especially for ApeChain Architects and something that like, if you've built on other chains before, this is really annoying, is like you have to go find the faucet, you have to get that faucet into your wallet, maybe you have to bridge funds from another chain, so on and so forth. Through Sequence, we actually take care of all the funds for testnet deployments via our relayer. So we basically fund this all ourselves. I don't actually have any ape within this specific wallet. And so that allows me to not be bogged down by like having to go to a faucet or anything like that. I can immediately start deploying collections to testnet right away. And then when you want to go to mainnet, you can also sponsor gas to make it really seamless for your users as well. So now that I have that contract deployed, what we're also going to do is we also want to actually create a collection. And a collection would be the associated metadata for that specific token contract. So I can go ahead and link that collection, and I'll just create a new one here. And we'll call that ApeChain Architects example. And let's see here. Yeah, let's use the announcement. We'll call it something very creative, and we'll go ahead and create that collection. I'm going to make sure that the metadata will be publicly available. And you can see that the actual function calls that I'm doing on that particular token contract, I'm just setting the metadata URI and the contract URI to the link for that associated metadata. So from here, that'll set basically the base collection overall. And now I can actually go in and then add the metadata for each specific collectible that I have available. So now I want to add a specific collectible. And this is the one that we're actually going to give away to the ApeChain Architects that are part of the webinar. So let's go ahead and we're going to call this celebration. Sequence loves ApeChain. Let's do it. And we're going to go ahead and add that information. And then all we have to do is add the artwork that we would like. I'll also add this announcement. And we can see basically the metadata URI. So this is the image property of the metadata URI field. And then we can also add different properties if we would like. So like, obviously, this is a super rare NFT. No one else in the world is going to have this. So we're just going to make it a legendary. And we can save all the information. And we'll just give that a refresh just so it's updated within our service. And now we can also view that metadata. So if I wanted to actually download any of this information, or if I wanted to go to this link of where the actual metadata exists, we can also see where the image exists like within our server. But let's go ahead and we can jump back over to ApeChain Builder. So now this looks really good. We have our collection ready to go. We have one of our token IDs that are minted to us. Or we actually have the collection listed. And we can also actually mint this collection to ourselves. So we wanted just to mint maybe to an admin wallet. Maybe we would wanted to reserve a few tokens to distribute to our community. We could do that as well. And we could just mint directly to our specific address or whatever address that we want. Maybe we have like a treasury wallet or a hardware wallet. We can mint really anywhere. And this is going to call our relayer service and just mint this collection to us as well. So you can see a good overview of like, what are the holders of these specific assets all throughout the UI. And then we can just read the balances from here. So this is really nice when you want to just have a good overview of like how people are interacting with the contract as well. So now we have a ERC 1155 contract deployed. We have that items, we have the metadata filled out. We've minted some of these tokens to ourselves. Now we actually want to make some money from this. So we want to sell this community, or we want to have people able to actually mint this on the community. So how do we actually do that? We're going to go back to our contracts tab. We're going to deploy a new contract again. And this time we're going to use the corresponding contract for the items contract that we created. So in this case, it's the ERC 1155 sale contract. And what this enables you to do is you basically link this to a contract that we already deployed. So we're going to link it to that ApeChain Architects example. We're going to deploy that as a new contract. And what's that going to do? It's going to link those two together. So whenever basically the sale contract is a payable function, and if someone transfers a certain amount of value, whatever I set for the sale, then it will mint that NFT to them whenever the corresponding amount has been funded. So one thing that we want to do in order to make sure, we actually need to give permissions for this sale contract to mint on the previous contract. So we're just going to copy this address. I'm going to go back to this example contract. And I'm going to go ahead and go over to permissions. And what's really nice about Sequence as well is we have all these admin or access control functions built into each contract. So in this case, I want to give that sale contract that I just added and deployed, I want to give it minting permissions to this collection contract that I just created. So that means that when someone transfers a 5 ETH, I'm selling these for a lot, they're super valuable, then it can mint on that specific token contract to mint it to the end user. So now we're going to go ahead and deploy that and update the permissions on that token contract. Looks like it's all good. And so now we should have everything in place at a permissions level. What we also want to do is we're going to go ahead and go over to Mint Access, and this will allow us to set the details of the specific sale at a global level. So for instance, let's say in this particular collection for the 0th token ID, I want to mint or have a supply of 100. So I want to sell basically 100 of these tokens. In this case, it depends whatever you'd like to set. You can change the amount of APE that you'd like to set it for, but something to note is you can actually add any ERC20 custom token to this. So if you have your own application token or you want to sell it in USDC or whatever you want to sell this particular collection in, you can change this to whatever you would like via the payment token here. So all you have to do is select other token and add the custom token there. Similarly, you can also set kind of like the sale parameters. So how long do you want the sale to go for? I'm just going to set it to the 29th. And then I think something also important is you can set between the public and the private sale. So this is really common, is maybe depending on like certain timeframes, you would have either a public or a permission sale, and you only want certain addresses to actually do this. Now, how you normally do this is basically you would create a Merkle proof, you would add the Merkle root to the contract, and then actually have to update this with like a list. So what you can do is if you have a private sale, I'm going to go ahead and go back really quickly to audience. Audience is what we allow you to create a list of different people, especially for something like an allow list. So you can create a new list and basically, let's say demo, that will allow you to just create a simple list, and you can either add them individually or you can upload like a CSV file of like the name, the address, email, whatever the case is, of the users you want to permission this particular sale for. In this case, I already have an ApeChain allow list. You can add basically a different amounts of users here. So let's say I wanted to add this address. I want to add myself here, and I'll just add my email address. You can add these different contacts and then build kind of the allow list. And if I go back to the sale, we'll set the supply cap to 100 again, and also update the sale parameters. We could change to a private sale and then also automatically select the audience list. And this will actually generate the Merkle route, which would normally be a little bit complex to do like programmatically or technically. And so we actually just take care of this for you to make sure that you can do an allow list safely and securely. In this case, I'm actually just going to keep it as a public sale. So basically anybody can access this. And what we're also going to do for this particular mint, so we're not going to make money from this. We're going to keep it as a free mint. We want to give it away to the ApeChain Architects. So I'm going to keep it as a free mint for right now. Obviously, you can always increase the price here. You can sell it for whatever price you want, and I'll show you what that looks like. But in this case, I'm just going to update the sale details, and this will be an on-chain transaction in order to actually mint and update those sale parameters for the specific sale. So let's go ahead and we can send that transaction, and that will update it at the chain level. And now we have basically that sale updated, and we have everything added. So now that we actually have everything configured at the smart contract level, we need a UI, we need a website that we're actually going to deploy this contract on in order for people to access it and actually sell these assets to our users, or to be able to mint them in this case, since we're not selling, we don't have a price. We have a couple different options. So we're going to go ahead and jump over to the marketplace, and you can either sell these via like a peer-to-peer marketplace. So we have a marketplace API, we have an SDK. You can actually build a white label marketplace without any programming knowledge at all. So all you have to do is add a variety of different contracts here. This will actually build that marketplace for you. And then you can also configure like the different currencies that you want to sell in. You can configure the different marketplaces that like the listings want to occur in for that specific collection. And you can also like modify, okay, I want to sell in Wrapped Ape or ApeCoin or, kind of whatever currency. If you have your own specific one, you can always add your custom ones here. So this is really cool, where even if you don't have any programming knowledge, you can create a peer-to-peer marketplace. And I'm not going to go so in depth into this side right now, because we're going to have an entire second session just on the marketplace side. But here, there's a really good place where you can like make an offer. You can log in with different wallets, and then actually have a peer-to-peer marketplace ready to go that is also royalty enforcing. So even if like the particular NFT is on a different marketplace than the sequence one, whenever the user creates a transaction, we bundle the royalty information into the call data, and therefore we enforce like royalty fees on the sequence marketplace side. So that's really nice. We'll come back to this in a later session, but I think what I also want to give you a sneak peek of is very soon we'll have our one-stop shop, and therefore if you're doing a primary sale to your users as well, then the shop is a great option. And you can do this within like any of our SDKs, but that allows you to actually sell directly to your community, sell directly to a group of users, similar to what we just set up, and we'll deploy in just a second. So now I'd like to just jump over. We're going to go ahead and load up Cursor. And it's actually very simple to get this set up. Basically, what I have here is I have a boilerplate code from one of our primary sale boilerplates that we have ready to go. So this would be like, if you do have some development experience, all you have to do is add your different configuration keys to your environment variables. These are all just demos for the sake of, showcasing what you can do. And all we have to do is basically go to our configuration for our sale. And we're just going to, we just have to update basically our NFT token address, the sales contract address, and the chain ID. So we already have ApeChain in there. We have all that information built in already to the sales flow. And so from this boilerplate that we have, and I'll link it within our chat, basically you can just install the dependencies, deploy this, change out the different environment variables, and then like have your own primary sale and sell directly to your community. Honestly, this takes like less than 30 minutes. And I'll show like what the main product looks like. So basically we're using the same template code. And we're going to go ahead and jump over to the ApeChain primary sale. And so I'll share this link with the community, or you can just grab it here. But basically this will load up our sequence boilerplate, and this already has the embedded wallet with that React SDK already built into this. So users can either authenticate via an email address or a Google login, or if they have like a Web3 wallet and you want to mint from that Web3 wallet, you can connect here. I do recommend to use the embedded wallet. It's just a smoother experience, and we'll also show you how we actually sponsored gas to make this really smooth. So I'm going to go ahead and authenticate with my Web3 wallet. I'm already logged in to ApeChain. I got my wallet address in the top right-hand corner, and this is automatically parsing that token contract that I set up. I can see how much has been minted, how much is left to go within the sale. I can see all the contract addresses. So if I want to see like, the sales contract within ApeChain, I could actually view those as well. So I can just check out the different parameters that I set up for the sale. And just some more information to give to your community to see like what they're really minting against. And already bundled in to this particular instance, we also have that sequence pay and that NFT checkout that I showed a little bit earlier. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and just mint this NFT to my wallet. So what's really cool here is, as you recall, I actually didn't set a payable amount for the amount of ApeCoin that this costs. So this is a free mint. You can come grab it. Who knows what will happen in the future. So definitely recommend minting this if you haven't already. And whenever you log in with a sequence wallet, we're actually sponsoring this particular token address. So if I go back to the ApeChain Builder, this really enhances the user experience and helps optimize kind of your funnel as well. Is within ApeChain or whenever you're going to mainnet, all you have to do is basically set up a credit card. This basically just contains a Stripe link, and you can actually enable like automatic top up. So if a certain balance reaches some threshold, it'll automatically charge your credit card, or you can just do a one-time fill if you're doing it like on a one-off basis. And then what this enables you to do is you can add these different sponsored addresses either by a specific contract or an address. So here I could add like the address that I want to sponsor. This is good if you have like a backend wallet or just some wallet that you don't have any like Ape on mainnet on. Or you can also add a sponsored contract address overall. So I can just select the ApeChain Architects example. I can add that as a sponsored contract, and that'll automatically update it. So then whenever a user uses a sequence wallet, they log in with the embedded wallet, and they interact with that contract within your application, it will be sponsored for them. So they don't actually need any Ape in their wallet for gas fees. You could sell in USDC or whatever the case is, and still have users interact with that contract address. So I'm going to go ahead and jump back over to, if I can find the right link, and I'm going to go ahead and complete this purchase. And so whenever I complete this purchase, it's going to make a request to our API. it'll actually process the transaction, and it looks like now I have that transfer complete. Here's the link to the transaction with that corresponding token ID, and you can see that we had 1 token minted to my wallet address here. Token ID is 0 for ApeChain Architects. So now that I have it minted to my NFT, this looks all good to go. I can see that 3 have been minted so far. I can also go back up and automatically see that I have in my wallet. So I can see my wallet address here, but we also have a convenient widget. So if you don't actually want to build like your own widget for your users in order for them to view the assets that they currently have within their wallet, you can do this as well. So I can see all the tokens. So I can see right now I'm pretty poor with Ape. I have nothing in there, but I can see also all my collectibles, and it looks pretty good. I got my sequence collection that I just minted right here. I could transfer this out. I could send this to another wallet if I would like. So I can do that too. And then I can also see a history of all the transactions. So if I want to see, common things that you'd expect kind of within a wallet widget, you can do this all from here. And you can scope this to only specific chains. So if I only want ApeChain and Curtis, testnet, and so on and so forth, you can scope it only to that specific instance. And what a lot of people also choose to do is we also have built-in wallet linking functionality. So this is pretty common. Like for instance, like I have a mutant in my hardware wallet, for instance, and I may not want to move it to this embedded wallet for this specific application or for this specific developer. So what I can offer my users to do is I can actually allow them to link other wallets to this embedded wallet, and that allows me to build like a graph of all the assets and all the items that a user has across their entire profile. So let's say I want to add another wallet. I can connect with like MetaMask, for instance. I'm going to go ahead and connect that. And what this will ask me to do is just to sign a message basically confirming that I have access to that wallet. I'm going to go ahead and do that. And now I can actually switch over, and I actually have basically these 2 wallets are linked together within this single interface. And that allows me to get a really good view of all the assets that a user has in a very secure way, because I can still have my, Bored Ape within my hardware wallet. It's nice and safe and secure. I can have my embedded wallet with a really good UX, but then I can also token gate certain experiences. So I could actually check, okay, what assets does the user have across all their wallet addresses? And I can confirm this because they signed that message. And that allows me to token gate certain experiences, or maybe give like, I don't know, certain yield boosts or discounts to people that hold like Bored Apes or Mutant Apes or whatever the case is. So this is a really good way, and we see a lot of people, especially like PFP projects and games, implement such a thing. In order to have a really good UX for like the consumer side of things, along with having a really good like security boundaries between, okay, I don't want to expose certain assets or transfer them between various wallets regularly. So what I'm going to go ahead, if you'd like to mint your own sequence collection, we can also share this link afterwards. Ashvarya, I don't know the best way to do this, but we can also share this in the YouTube channel.
Yeah, what we'll do actually is we can send it out in the Luma if you already signed up. So if you don't have that link, let me post a Luma before and we'll send it out as a blast to everybody.
Okay, beautiful. I'm gonna DM you with that link. So, so that way you have it as well. But this is publicly accessible only for ApeChain Architects. You never know what can happen, so definitely feel free to come here, mint your NFT, transfer it wherever you'd like. Now, this was like a small taste of how do you deploy your contract address, how do you use ApeChain Builder, how do you create a primary sale so you can start earning money and sell PFPs to your community. And I realize, this is a little developer focused, so like creating this kind of open source boilerplate does take some knowledge of code just to replace the variables. But for those of you who are, they would just like to get started really fast, or they don't care to actually use like an open source boilerplate or anything, as I mentioned, we'll have this web shop that's like, completely like low code, no code. And therefore you can also host your primary sales directly through Sequence as well. And they'll be coming within the next week or two. So that's also a really good example if you don't want to customize anything and you just want to kind of like start selling your community right out of the gate. We'll have that for you shortly, and then you can start experimenting with that. And as we wrap up, just for the second session that I wanted to showcase, we'll go more in depth. You'll remember when I deployed this collection address, I added some royalties to it. So now I've sold some assets to my community. I sold a PFP or two, and now I want to keep building that sustainable revenue model. And so we'll showcase a little bit about how does Sequence enforce royalties kind of at the API and the SDK level. How would you integrate this into a white label version and start selling these assets between your community? Or how do you integrate this into either Unity, into a game, into another application with our SDK? So you can really go completely custom, or if you want to go no code, you can also use our white label version. So there's really a lot of options depending on when you want to go to market, how big your dev team is, whatever the case is. So I'm going to go ahead and pause there. I know I ranted for 45 minutes about how great Sequence is and the cool stuff you can do with it. Let's go ahead and stop sharing.
No worries. Oh my gosh. Okay, everybody, that's awesome. So we had a bunch of amazing questions in the chat, which I want to get to right now. But first, everybody, the link is going to be dropped in the chat and on Luma. Okay, so stay tuned. Make sure you RSVP to the Luma page. But let's go and find some questions. You guys have some really, really good ones in here. So first question, when selling to, this is from Aaron Haber, I believe. I hope I pronounced it correctly. Sorry if I did not. When selling to Web3 users using CC, do the blockchain transfers of funds, etc., happen in the backend, meaning they pay with CC, but the collection gets paid in Ape, for example?
Yep, exactly. So on the credit card side of things, like it depends. They're a little more strict on the token side of things because we have different payment providers. But in general, what happens is like for different liquid pairs, like USDC or Ape or something like that, you would price that collection, and then the payment provider would do a swap at the blockchain level with their liquidity. So yes, it happens on the back end. And basically for like chargeback risk, more or less the payment provider kind of bears any risk associated with that.
Mm-hmm. Okay, cool. Here's another one that I have for you. So are images and metadata only stored off-chain, or can they link IPFS? And they added like directly into the interface.
Directly into the interface. Good. So right now we currently store our NFT assets on our own servers. So we have like a Google Cloud instance. It's not to say that we couldn't like easily kind of expand to IPFS. So generally, most people prefer performance. But for PFP collections and like, I don't know, for CryptoPunks, for instance, that are like, they've actually committed the metadata directly on chain, it can definitely like change that. So that can be an option as well if you want to add the metadata. We don't have that from the interface, but if that's something that you would like, feel free to let us know and we can look into adding that.
Cool. So that question was from Alok. They also have one more question, which is with whitelisting on an email address, would that work with someone having a custodial wallet that is under that email?
Yes. Yeah. So we don't discriminate between like a custodial or non-custodial wallet for like, an allow list. So as long as you have their 0x blah, blah, blah kind of like address, you can just add their email and their public address in there and you should be good to go.
Cool. Let me see if I can get one more. Oh, so this is another question from earlier. Are royalties also enforced on other platforms?
That is an excellent question. So As probably most of the community here knows, more than a lot of other communities, enforcing royalties at the smart contract level is extremely difficult, if not impossible. So more or less, you can make it more or less burdensome for someone to get around it, but it's like impossible to enforce it across the board. What we do at the sequence marketplace level is whenever you make a like a request or a purchase for an NFT, even if it's listed on like just OpenSea as an example. I'm not sure all the marketplaces on ApeChain, but within the call data that is returned to the user's wallet, that fee information is bundled into that call data. So that's basically how we enforce royalties, or how we present the call data to actually be paid by the user. As you know, or as you may or may not know, there could be ways around that. So people could remove that information if they're technically savvy enough. Generally, we find for most like PFP projects and community projects, as well as like gaming projects, that's kind of like enough to be enforced. And then there are all alternatives to like make this a little more secure or higher level. We'll see with like 7702. I think there are now going to be more alternative ways around this. So we'll see what the community ends up coming out with. But yeah, generally, I think it's the case of how do you balance out the convenience along with like the royalty enforcement information.
Okay, that's awesome. So there is, so I'm trying to see if there, I think we have room for one more question. If anybody has one that they'd like to drop in the chat, please go for it. Is there anything else that you would all like to say about what we have even coming up in our next session, or just in general? Even Sam, Alok, I'd love to hear from you as well.
I'll post one question that came directly to my ex. They're asking about, can you have on-chain art via sequence? Obviously, that is done on the contract, but would that work?
It would work. So I will be honest. So most of the metadata is associated with a off-chain data store, but there's definitely nothing preventing you from adding like an existing contract or adding that metadata at the on-chain level, and then you can just add it to ApeChain Builder. So if you want to manage everything from a single place, that's completely compatible. You update the metadata URI with the on-chain properties, and you're basically good to go.
Cool.
Awesome. Cool. Anything else, guys? All right. I guess we're honestly, we don't have any more questions, and I think we're coming to time soon. So quick updates, everybody. This video will be live on our YouTube channel for you to watch again. If you found it really helpful, let us know in the comments. And also, if you know anybody who is interested in joining our next session, the Luma page in the description is going to be updated to reflect the details for the second session now. So make sure you're RSVP'd still, send it to a friend, get anyone you know to join our next webinar, which is on May 22nd, same time, same place. But yeah, and with that said, the mint is live. The link is in the chat, but we'll also send it out as a text blast. So if you didn't make the whole thing, if you had to jump off, or if you're struggling right now, no worries. We will send it out as a text blast in the Luma page. So join in. And I'm Shavri. I'm the social media community manager. You will see me online on X and everywhere. If you have questions, you can hit us up in our Discord channel, which is discord.gg/sequence. And I think that's about it. We can call it a day.
Beautiful. Awesome.
Thanks,
Great
everyone.
hanging out with them.
Thanks,
Ciao, ciao.
everybody.
Thanks, everyone.